My noodle was noodle, and it was.
It was a noodle. So today, I was testing one of the pieces of software out
Hmm.
because we were doing a workshop demo for some of the faculty, and gonna music it up. Uh, it was for GoReact, which is like a piece of software that allows you to make like basically video submissions as an assignment. So you can like do a presentation through there and stuff like that as a student. And I decided to test it out because she was like, "Hey, test it out for me because I need another, student basically submission." So I was like, "What can I do that's fun?" And I looked up a monologue from Star Trek Next Generation, and so I recited that. That was fun.
Hell yeah.
I did my best Picard.
Damn.
All right.
You know what? You know what? Oh, I faded into oblivion. There we go. Proud of you.
But the text files on the... I would say I would do it now, but like the text files on my work computer, so... Oops.
Oh. Dang. Ding dang.
I was using my actor skills. I was like, okay, how can I adapt this so like it's just me talking and not... Because it's that monologue between... You've seen Next Generation, right?
Yeah.
It's that episode where Picard goes to visit Wesley at the academy. And they do like that dangerous maneuver.
Yeah.
So it's the monologue from that.
The old barrel roll.
Like, yeah, the barrel roll.
Just imagining the USS Enterprise doing a barrel roll. The big old pancake shaped thing.
Yeah. With the exact like graphics. Dude, speaking of remakes, right? Think about how they had to remaster that show. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's an amazing feat too, because they had to like replicate all the art assets and upscale it to match like the widescreen aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It holds up. A lot of the effects are really fun, I think.
Oh, I agree. Ooh, Virtua Fighter. Yeah, no, like, if you look up how they had to remaster that show, they were like, okay, we're gonna do this once. Because they didn't do for Deep Space Nine. And, like, they released the Blu-rays with all the remastered footage. And it sold terribly. They were like, this is like millions of dollars put into it, and...
Whoops.
Yeah, like, they literally did it once. But it was a dang good remaster, because, like, now that show's legacy is polished forever, And, like, it's pretty much, like, 1-to-1 from the original effects that they showed on broadcast with the way they did it. They replicated it very, very well. And I'm like, in awe of that type of stuff,
I just have to appreciate, like, in like Star Wars, all of the matte paintings that were originally made and like scale models and stuff. Like at one point in time, the only way to get those bombastic sets and ships, you had to build it all or paint it all. And there's actually a scene from, I think it's like there's a pod race or there's some sort of like Coliseum. I don't remember which Star Wars it's from, but it's one of the older ones. And there's a Coliseum full of people. And what they did is they took Q-tips and they colored them all different colors, and they made these little scale model stands and put these Q-tips in it, and then they put a fan underneath so that the Q-tips would wiggle around. And I was like, oh my god, so it looked like the crowd was cheering.
That is really cool.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. I think that stuff is super applicable. I feel like there needs to be like a match between, like, they're just because some of that stuff's just not replicable in computer graphics. It just does not sell the same way. And that's what bothered me about, like, a lot of the Marvel stuff, which, like, the Marvel stuff you can't really do without a lot of that. But
yeah,
I feel like there was a lot of it where it's just like, this is needless CGI.
Yeah,
Because, like, you could sell it way better You could, but it's a choice, right? It's a preference. Everything comes down to preference.
Well, it's become the standard, unfortunately. I saw something recently. I watched this YouTube channel called Corridor Crew, and they're all visual effects artists. And so they like to they have a series called like Bad versus Good CGI. And they recently got this animator on. This animator worked on Brother Bear, and I believe he did a little bit of Lilo and Stitch. And several other Lion King, a lot of stuff like that. And so this animator was, part of Disney's like golden era, doing a bunch of 2D animation, and saw like the decline and eventual closure of the Florida-based animation studio that was in what was at that time MGM Studios, or like which is now Hollywood Studios.
Right.
But he actually did a commercial because he has his own animation studio now, and he did a commercial recently for I think it was like a annual thing for like this British company, and sustainability was the goal of that like specific commercial. It was like meant to be like a feel good. So what he did is they had him animate these like woodland creatures. He animated them all on paper, like drew them all out on paper. And then they scanned them in and printed them out, and then laser cut them so that they had every single frame as a cutout paper piece. And then they made stop motion sets and like lit it and set. And so basically put these 2D cell frames in a physical set. It was really, really cool. So it was a combination
that's like I think they did that on Popeye.
Really?
Like a long time ago. Yeah. Like one of the early cartoons. Yeah, because there was like a rotoscoped set that they did.
Oh, well, it wasn't even rotoscoped.
Right.
So what it was is they made a set, and then they cut out the paper and put the paper into the set, and and then did stop motion photography and flipped out all of the frames.
Right. Let me find what I'm talking about.
I'll send the video too, where they show it better than how I explain it.
No, that's not it. This is Popeye from 1980. What was it? I don't know the right episode. Got Cowboy.
Cowboy time.
Popeye. It's like cell animation, and then they took a camera on like a physical set that they made, and like basically it's like, it looks like a diorama. On top of that. Yeah. And they like rotated the set or panned around it.
That's cool.
With Popeye like walking in the middle of it.
It's kind of like
love stuff like that.
Roger
I love
Rabbit too.
Mixed media stuff like that, and I really, really. There's just so much opportunity for artists to shine and creativity to shine when you have those types of things going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I sent the link in the chat for the video where they explain it better. But yeah, highly recommend.
Okay.
But you could probably it's toward the like later portion of the video. But yeah, you could just scroll right. Oh, they have chapters. Yeah, that's nice.
But yeah, I would just say, like, as far as, like, quote unquote bad CGI goes, it's just like, does it make sense to the world we're seeing, right?
Right.
And can you make it look like it's a part of that? And I think that's where, like, why people think some of that is, like, bad, because it just doesn't mesh well enough.
Right. Yeah. And they do a pretty good job too of explaining the reason behind those things that they're saying. So like they'll take a shot and they'll break it down because they're all visual effects artists, and they'll say like, here's some of the technique behind this, and here's what this artist did, and here's how it turned out. But like, here's a couple things too that would make it read better. And here's like tips and tricks and other examples. Like it's not just like, this is bad, haha. Like they actually have quite a bit of discussion. So I really like their channel. It's a fun time.
Yeah. I just think filmmakers, I think in general, just need to I mean, really, it comes down to who you're working for and what they want.
Yeah.
But as a person who would want to make a film, there's some practical things that I would do first and foremost before jumping to like, oh, we need this. We need to spend money on this. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And not just because of the budgetary thing, but just because I want to know how much we can take it to the limit and utilize those techniques and make them, because I think that really shows, and audiences appreciate that stuff.
Absolutely.
Lot, whether they know what they're looking at or not.
Yeah, but that's why I really like stop motion, because I mean, the tangibility of it, the physical nature of the animation is just so interesting, and seeing the materials they use and techniques. Like Leica has worked, obviously Leica is like the pinnacle of stop motion currently, from like a big development, like a studio. But there is like, in Coraline, they were making everything from, Coraline and Nightmare Before Christmas before the studio was actually together, but like, all whatever. They were, making these puppets, and they had some tips and tricks, but they were really just making these heads over and over. And then, they get to like Corpse Bride with Tim Burton, and they have like these gears that they can turn to change the expressions inside the head. But then they get to Coraline, and they have the head, the top of the head and the bottom of the head sliced into two different pieces, so they can swap out the eyes and the mouth. And then you get into Kubo and the Two Strings, and they start using 3D printing. I believe Paranorman had a bit of 3D printing as well, but not very much. But in Kubo, they used full color 3D printing, but there was still a lot of touch-ups that needed to be made. So like they couldn't entirely rely off of 3D printing the parts. And then you got into Missing Link, which I think is their most recent project, or at least their most recent film. And Missing Link, they had been working with this 3D printer company that was developing full color, like intricate, detailed printing software. And so now they could print like all body parts and faces entirely like 3D printed in this very fine, incredibly expensive process to develop. But they would have to they wouldn't have to paint the models anymore. They would literally would print, and then they would clean it up, and then maybe like seal it and glaze and do what they need to like seal it in. But they could rely on full color 3D printing in a way that still captured the look that they wanted. And that's so
super
incredible.
Practical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
That's like an evolution of like the practical approach, for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah. And like it's the same thing like whenever we watch anime together, I like just gush about that process, because it truly, anime back then was like, I mean, it still is like a mixed media sort of production with animation. It's just they hide it in a lot of unique ways that you just don't know that that's what you're seeing. Yeah. And I love that. And the same with like tokusatsu and all of that. It's just
yum
I love
yum.
that stuff. Yeah. All right, who should we pass this stream off to?
Let me see. You probably have a better assortment than I do.
How do you know that?
I don't know.
No, we have different things. We can be different.
Let's see.
Dubious is on. You can see if Arando is playing Mario RPG, the original.
Oh. Go to Vine Sauce.
I love Chrono Trigger. That's not the one. That's the remake. Nope, it's just me.
Yeah, really just playing the shit out of this game. It's popular.
Alright, we'll find someone else who's playing the remake, I guess.
Then I get to see what the remake looks like.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see in the thumbnail, it's like they basically just polished up the art style. I wish the original render still existed, so I would love to have, I would have loved to have seen a version of the game with those original renders like upscaled.
Yeah.
And like in real-time 3D. But they did a really good job of replicating the look and feel.
I like the style where they're all cute and tiny.
Yeah. I love their stout style.
Little babies.
Stout style Mario. S-Dog
Chunky
02.
babies.
I don't know. S-Dog 02. I Am the Shark. They're doing a speed run. There's a few people doing speed runs of this game.
Gino should have been in Smash.
Let's raid them.
Heck yeah.
Flash raid GG.
GG gamer.
Thank everybody for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
There won't be such a delay between the next time we do this. I hope we get to more of the fun adventures.
Oh yeah, and we can definitely too. I've been wanting to do some more collaborations on my side too, so don't you worry.
You call this collaboration? I just call this hanging out. I don't know.
Well, then I wanted to do more hanging out on my end. How about that?
Collaboration makes it sound like I'm signing the contract.
All right, sign the contract here, here, and here. It has to be in blood.
No.
Sign it with your gamer blood.
No, let's just hug on it. Let's just...
Okay. Our hands hug. It's a handshake.
No. This is not a business thing.
Pleasure doing business. I hand my business card out of my suit pocket.
Yep. Well, I guess you are the main financier of this establishment, right?
Donating all my Dogecoin.
Yeah. I guess I'm forced to be your friend.
No, you're contractually obligated.
Oh, yeah. So forced, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Everybody have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye. Ooh, and we